chemistry teacher became a monster, the blue meth became iconic, and somewhere between the desert cook sites and the final showdown, a cable drama changed television forever. But behind Walter White's transformation, nothing went according to plan. The star was cast from a sitcom. The pizza landed on the roof by pure luck, and one improvised line became the show's most quoted moment. These are 20 weird facts about Breaking Bad. And buried in the brilliance, a character who was supposed to die in episode 9 but survived to the very end. Say my name, this gets dangerous. Number 20. Walter White was supposed to die in season 1.
What are you doing?
These are my good clothes.
Vince Gilligan had a clear vision when he created Breaking Bad. Walter White's journey was meant to be swift and tragic, a rapid descent from desperate teacher to dead criminal contained within a single season. The plan was simple: introduce the character, show his transformation, kill him, and end the story. Season 1 was designed as a complete arc, with Walter's death serving as the brutal finale that would shock audiences and make a statement about consequences. Gilligan and his writers had mapped out exactly how it would happen, plotting Walter's demise for the season's final episodes. Then the Writers Guild of America went on strike in late 2007, and everything changed. Television production across Hollywood ground to a halt. Scripts couldn't be written, shows couldn't continue, and Breaking Bad's first season was cut short from 9 episodes to just 7. The episodes that would have killed Walter White never got made because there were no writers available to write them. By the time the strike ended and production could resume, months had passed. Gilligan had time to reconsider, to see how audiences were responding to Bryan Cranston's performance, to recognize that ending the show after 1 season would waste incredible potential. So he made a decision that would define the entire series. Walter White wouldn't die in season 1. He wouldn't die in season 2 either. The character would survive, evolve, and become something far more complex than originally planned. The writers' strike accidentally saved Walter White's life and gave Breaking Bad 4 more seasons to become one of the greatest television dramas ever made. Number 19. Bryan Cranston was cast because of a Seinfeld episode. When Vince Gilligan started casting Breaking Bad, he needed an actor who could play both sides of Walter White's personality. Someone audiences would believe as a timid, defeated high school teacher, but who could also convincingly transform into a ruthless criminal mastermind. Network executives pushed for established dramatic actors with serious credentials. They wanted someone known for intense roles, someone who screamed danger and complexity. Gilligan had a different idea. He wanted Bryan Cranston, and the network thought he was insane. Cranston was known almost entirely for comedy. He had spent years playing the goofy father on Malcolm in the Middle, a role that made him beloved but thoroughly typecast as a comedic performer. Suggesting him for a dark cable drama about meth manufacturing seemed absurd to executives who couldn't see past his sitcom reputation. But Gilligan had seen something years earlier that convinced him Cranston could handle darkness. In 1998, Gilligan was writing for The X-Files when an episode called Drive needed a guest star to play a desperate, dangerous man who takes Mulder hostage. Cranston auditioned and delivered a performance so intense, so layered with rage and fear and unpredictability, that it stayed with Gilligan for nearly a decade. That single guest appearance on The X-Files proved Cranston could be terrifying when the role demanded it. Gilligan fought the network, insisting Cranston was perfect for Walter White. He showed them the X-Files episode, argued that comedy actors often make the best dramatic performers because they understand timing and nuance. Eventually, reluctantly, the network agreed to let Cranston audition. He nailed it, bringing exactly the combination of vulnerability and menace that Walter White required. The role went to the sitcom dad, and he turned it into one of television's most iconic performances. Number 18. The Pizza on the Roof was a first-take accident. season, 3, Episode 2 contains one of Breaking Bad's most memorable visual moments. Walter, frustrated and angry after Skyler refuses to let him into the house, grabs an entire unsliced pizza from his car and hurls it onto the roof in a fit of rage. The pizza lands perfectly, flat and intact on the shingles, an absurd image that became instantly iconic and endlessly memed. It looks like a carefully planned stunt, the kind of shot that would require multiple takes and precise choreography to achieve. But the truth is far stranger. Bryan Cranston threw that pizza exactly once. No practice throws, no backup pizza, no plan for what to do if it didn't work. The script called for Walter to throw pizza onto the roof, and everyone assumed it would take multiple attempts to get right. They had extra pizzas standing by, expected to spend significant time perfecting the shot. Cranston picked up the pizza, wound up, and threw it in a single fluid motion. And impossibly, it sailed through the air, rotated perfectly, and landed flat on the roof exactly as if someone had placed it there deliberately. The entire crew stood in stunned silence. Director Terry McDonough yelled "cut," then immediately told everyone they were moving on because there was no way they would ever get that lucky again. Cranston himself couldn't believe it, admitting later that he had expected the pizza to hit the roof and slide off, or land at an awkward angle. The perfect throw was pure chance, a 1 in 100 accident that looked like a 1 in a million planned stunt. The scene became so famous that the house's real owners eventually had to build a fence because Breaking Bad fans kept throwing pizzas onto their roof, trying to recreate the moment. One accidental perfect throw created a lasting problem for people who just wanted to live in their house without constant pizza bombardment. Number 17. Jesse Pinkman was supposed to die in Season 1.
You just don't get it, man. Okay, this guy's OG.
What does that mean?
Jesus, look, he's upper level, man. He's not gonna do business with some dude he doesn't know.
Jesse Pinkman wasn't meant to be a major character. In Vince Gilligan's original plan, Jesse served a specific narrative purpose. He was the small-time dealer who introduced Walter to the meth world, the young screw-up whose mistakes would create conflict and drive early plot developments. And then, around Episode 9 of Season 1, he was supposed to die. His death would devastate Walter, eliminate complications, and push the story in darker directions. The writers had it all planned out, a tragic end for a supporting character who had served his function. Then Aaron Paul started actually playing Jesse Pinkman, and everything changed. Paul brought layers to the character that weren't fully present in the script. He made Jesse funny but heartbreaking, tough but vulnerable, a screw-up with a moral core that Walter lacked. His chemistry with Bryan Cranston was electric, creating a dynamic that became the emotional center of the entire series. The writers watched the dailies and realized they had something special, a character and performance too good to waste on a planned death. So they made the same decision they had made about Walter. Forget the plan. Keep him alive. See where this goes? Jesse Pinkman survived past Episode 9, past Season 1, all the way to the series finale. His survival fundamentally changed Breaking Bad's structure and themes. The show became as much about Jesse's corruption and suffering as about Walter's transformation. Their relationship evolved into the beating heart of the series, a twisted father-son dynamic that drove the narrative more powerfully than any other element. Aaron Paul later won 3 Emmy Awards for playing a character who wasn't supposed to exist past the first season. And Breaking Bad became a completely different show, deeper and more emotionally complex, because the writers were smart enough to abandon their plan when they found something better. Number 16. The blue meth was rock candy.
Careful my amounts and watch the numbers every step of the way. So what do you think?
Breaking Bad needed a visual signature, something that would make the show's central drug instantly recognizable and visually distinctive. Vince Gilligan decided that Walter White's meth would be blue, a color choice that had no basis in reality, but created perfect visual contrast against desert locations and made the product memorable. The prop department was tasked with creating fake meth that would photograph well, look convincing, and be safe for actors to handle in scene after scene. They settled on blue rock candy, sugar crystallized into chunks that resembled the real thing while being completely harmless. At least, it seemed harmless at first. Rock candy is just sugar. Actors could touch it, hold bags of it, even taste it if a scene required without any health concerns. But what the production didn't fully anticipate was the sheer quantity of blue rock candy that would appear throughout the series. Pounds and pounds of it in every meth lab scene, every drug deal, every moment where product was manufactured or sold. And actors, particularly Aaron Paul, ended up consuming far more of it than anyone expected. During cooking scenes, Paul would eat the rock candy to sell the reality of the moment, tasting product to check quality, or absent-mindedly putting pieces in his mouth during takes. Over 5 seasons, this added up to an absurd amount of sugar consumption. Paul later admitted in interviews that he ate so much blue rock candy during Breaking Bad's production that he became physically ill from it. The sight of blue rock candy now makes him nauseous, a visceral reminder of years spent consuming pounds of crystallized sugar in the name of authenticity. The prop department eventually tried to reduce how much actors actually put in their mouths, but the damage was done. Aaron Paul's relationship with rock candy was permanently destroyed by Breaking Bad, a weird occupational hazard of playing a meth dealer on television. Number 15. Real DEA agents consulted and were horrified. Vince Gilligan wanted Breaking Bad to feel authentic. He didn't want a Hollywood version of the drug trade with obviously fake procedures and unrealistic chemistry. So, the production hired consultants bringing in former DEA agents and actual chemists to ensure that everything from police procedures to meth manufacturing techniques was as accurate as possible. The consultants took their jobs seriously, providing detailed information about how real criminals operated, how real investigations proceeded, and yes, how real methamphetamine was actually produced. They helped the writers and prop department create a show that felt genuinely grounded in reality. Then the consultants watched what they had helped create and realized they had made a terrible mistake. The meth cooking scenes weren't just realistic, they were instructional. Breaking Bad showed step-by-step procedures, specific chemicals, particular techniques that could actually be used to manufacture illegal drugs. The show had accidentally become a tutorial, a recipe that anyone watching could potentially follow. The DEA agents who had provided all that authentic information were horrified. They contacted the production and essentially said, "You need to change this immediately before someone uses your show as a meth cooking guide." The production team had to go back through scripts and filmed scenes, deliberately obscuring certain steps and altering specific details to make the process shown on screen incomplete and unusable. They removed key information, changed chemical names, and edited sequences to ensure that while the show still looked authentic, it couldn't actually teach viewers how to cook meth. The changes were subtle enough that most viewers never noticed, but they were significant enough that the DEA consultants stopped panicking. Breaking Bad remained realistic, but became intentionally inaccurate in crucial ways, a compromise between authenticity and responsibility. The show looked like it was teaching chemistry, but the lessons were deliberately incomplete, designed to entertain rather than educate criminals. Number 14. The Methylamine Train. Heist was filmed on a real track. The train heist in Season 5's Dead Freight remains one of Breaking Bad's most tense and visually spectacular sequences. Walter, Jesse, and Todd execute an elaborate plan to steal methylamine from a moving freight train in the middle of the New Mexico desert. The scene required precise choreography, dangerous stunts, and split-second timing to pull off convincingly. What made it even more dangerous was that they filmed it on an actual active railroad track, with real trains scheduled to pass through on a tight timetable. The production had a very limited window to film between scheduled freight trains. If they ran over their allotted time, an actual train weighing thousands of tons would come barreling through while cast and crew were still on the tracks. There was no room for error, no opportunity for multiple takes on complex shots, no chance to reset if something went wrong. Director George Mastras had to choreograph everything perfectly and execute it quickly while racing against the clock. The pressure was immense. Actors were performing stunts on and around railroad tracks, knowing that any delay could put them in the genuine danger. The crew worked with railway officials monitoring train schedules in real time, ready to evacuate everyone the moment a train approached. The final sequence looks thrilling because the danger was partially real. That tension, that sense of everything happening on a razor's edge, translated directly to screen. The train heist became one of Breaking Bad's most celebrated episodes precisely because the production took real risks to capture authentic danger. Number 13. Hank's mineral obsession. Started as a joke.
I'm bidding on a new mineral.
The rocks, Hank.
No, they're minerals.
So, rock collecting?
Amount of methamphetamine being taken off the streets.
Were any shots fired?
No, ma'am. Our agents took the suspects by surprise.
Damn.
Which is
Hank Schrader's mineral collecting hobby became a significant character detail in later seasons, revealing his frustration and depression during recovery from being shot. His insistence that they were minerals, not rocks, became a memorable running joke that deepened our understanding of his psychological state. But this entire character trait wasn't planned by the writers. It emerged from a single improvised moment by Dean Norris that the writers loved enough to expand into a full storyline. During a scene where Marie calls Hank's collection rocks, Norris ad-libbed the now famous line, "They're minerals, Marie." He delivered it with such intensity and defensiveness that it revealed something about Hank's need for control and precision during a period when he felt powerless. The writers watching the scene recognized gold. What started as an actor trying to add texture to a moment became a defining characteristic that appeared in multiple episodes. The writers built entire scenes around Hank's mineral obsession, using it to show his declining mental state and his desperate need for something he could control and categorize when his body and career were falling apart. They gave him detailed knowledge of geology, created moments where his mineral collecting intersected with the main plot, and used the hobby to add depth to a character who could have been just a straightforward DEA tough guy. Dean Norris's spontaneous improvisation accidentally gave Hank Schrader one of his most humanizing qualities. Number 12. The Cousins Never Broke character, on set.
La decisión no la suya para hacer. Explíquenme.
The twin assassins known as the Cousins, Marco and Lionel Salamanca, were among Breaking Bad's most terrifying villains. Silent, methodical, and utterly remorseless, they moved through scenes like death incarnate, creating tension through presence rather than dialogue. Actors Daniel and Luis Moncada brought an unsettling authenticity to these roles that went far beyond what was written in the script. They made a choice that amplified the character's menace in unexpected ways. They never broke character between takes, maintaining their silent, threatening demeanor even when cameras weren't rolling. On set, between scenes, during lunch breaks, the Moncada brothers remained in character. They didn't make small talk with other cast members, didn't laugh at jokes, didn't engage in the normal friendly interactions that happen on film sets. They stayed silent, watchful, communicating only when absolutely necessary. This wasn't method acting taken to absurd extremes. It was a deliberate choice to maintain the character's threatening aura and keep other actors genuinely unsettled. Cast members later admitted the Cousins' refusal to break character was genuinely disturbing. Even knowing they were actors, even understanding it was a performance choice, having these silent, intense men hovering nearby created real unease. That authentic discomfort translated directly to screen. When other characters reacted to the Cousins with fear, those reactions were partially genuine because the actors playing the Cousins had created an atmosphere of real menace that persisted beyond the scripted scenes. Number 11. Skinny Pete. Really played that piano. In Season 5, there's a brief but beautiful moment where Jesse's friend Skinny Pete sits at a piano in a music store and plays a gorgeous classical piece. The scene serves to show unexpected depth in a character previously defined by comic relief and drug use. Viewers assumed the piano playing was dubbed, that actor Charles Baker was miming, while a professional pianist provided the actual music. But that assumption was completely wrong. Charles Baker is a legitimately trained classical pianist who played every note himself. Baker studied piano seriously before becoming an actor, developing genuine skill with classical repertoire. When the script called for Skinny Pete to play piano, Baker didn't need a double or audio replacement. He simply sat down and performed the piece himself, bringing real musicianship to a moment that could have been faked. The performance added authenticity that elevated the scene beyond a simple character beat. The choice to have Skinny Pete demonstrate real musical talent was brilliant character development. It suggested depths and a past that the show never fully explored, hinting at how addiction and circumstance had derailed someone with genuine gifts. That one scene, performed authentically by an actor who could actually play, said more about wasted potential than pages of dialogue could have. Baker's real skill made Skinny Pete's moment at the piano resonate emotionally in ways that dubbed audio never could have achieved. Number 10, The Wayfarer 515 debris was everywhere for months. Season 2 of Breaking Bad opened with mysterious black and white flash-forward sequences, showing debris floating in a swimming pool, hazmat-suited figures investigating a scene, and a pink teddy bear with one eye missing. These cold opens appeared throughout the season, cryptic fragments that made no sense until the devastating finale revealed their meaning. The Wayfarer 515 plane crash, an indirect consequence of Walter's actions, scattered debris across Albuquerque, including into the White family pool. What many viewers didn't notice on first watch was that the debris wasn't limited to those flash-forward sequences. Throughout Season 2, eagle-eyed viewers could spot pieces of the plane crash scattered throughout regular scenes, hidden in backgrounds, visible for just frames at a time. The pink teddy bear appeared in reflections. Airplane parts sat in yards. Debris showed up in locations the characters visited. Subtle visual foreshadowing that most people missed until they rewatched the season, knowing what was coming. The production design team deliberately planted these clues months before the reveal, trusting that most viewers wouldn't consciously notice but would subconsciously register that something was off. The technique created an atmosphere of unease and dread that built throughout the season even for viewers who couldn't articulate why they felt tense. Only on rewatch did the full scope of the foreshadowing become apparent, revealing how carefully Breaking Bad constructed its visual storytelling and how much detail was embedded in every frame. Number 9. Aaron Paul improvised. Yeah, science.
Yes, science!
Hell yeah! Hey, come on, baby! Come on! Yes! Come on!
Breaking Bad is filled with quotable dialogue carefully crafted by skilled writers who spent weeks perfecting every line. Walter White's "I am the one who knocks" speech was meticulously written and rehearsed. Gus Fring's threats were precisely scripted for maximum menace. But one of the show's most iconic and endlessly quoted lines came from nowhere, an improvised burst of enthusiasm that Aaron Paul shouted during a scene and that became Jesse Pinkman's accidental catchphrase. The moment happens in Season 1, during the battery sequence where Jesse and Walter use chemistry to create a battery and escape from their stranded RV in the desert. The script called for Jesse to be impressed and relieved when Walter's plan works. But Paul, caught up in the moment and genuinely excited by the scene's energy, just shouted, "Yeah, science," with pure enthusiasm. It wasn't written, wasn't planned, wasn't something anyone anticipated. It was just an actor reacting authentically to the moment. Director Vince Gilligan heard it, loved it immediately, and kept it in the final cut. That spontaneous line became one of Jesse's defining characteristics, his unlikely appreciation for chemistry, despite being a terrible student. Fans latched onto it, turning, "Yeah, science," into a meme, a t-shirt slogan, and a phrase that would follow Aaron Paul for the rest of his career. One improvised moment of genuine enthusiasm became more memorable than dozens of carefully written speeches. Number 8. The White House got death threats over the finale. Breaking Bad series finale, Felina, aired on September 29, 2013, and delivered an ending that satisfied most fans while devastating them emotionally. Walter White died, Jesse escaped, and the story concluded with brutal finality. But not everyone was happy. Some fans were so invested in the characters and so emotionally destroyed by the ending that they lashed out irrationally at anyone they could blame for their pain. And in their fury, some of them directed threats at bizarre targets, including government officials. The White House actually received emails and messages from Breaking Bad fans angry about how the series ended. These weren't reasonable complaints about storytelling choices. They were genuine threats from people so consumed by fictional events that they blamed real government entities for what happened to Walter White. The logic made no sense, but grief and anger rarely do. Some fans apparently believed that someone in authority should have prevented the ending, should have intervened, should have saved their favorite character. The phenomenon revealed something disturbing about how invested audiences had become in Breaking Bad's fictional world. The line between fiction and reality had blurred for some viewers, to the point where they couldn't separate a television show from actual events requiring actual intervention. The threats were never credible enough to warrant serious security responses. But they demonstrated the unprecedented emotional connection Breaking Bad had created with its audience, for better and for worse. Number 7. Bob Odenkirk. Almost wasn't Saul Goodman.
Oh, look at you. Should I call the FBI and tell them I found DB Cooper? Joking. Please.
Saul Goodman became one of Breaking Bad's most beloved characters, the sleazy criminal lawyer whose moral, flexibility, and dark humor provided relief from the show's increasing darkness. Bob Odenkirk's performance was so perfect, so precisely calibrated between comedy and menace, that it's impossible to imagine anyone else in the role. But Saul Goodman wasn't written for Odenkirk. The character was created with a different actor in mind, someone who turned down the role, leaving casting scrambling to find a replacement just days before filming. Odenkirk auditioned at the last minute without extensive preparation, walking into a room full of producers and writers who were desperate to fill the role quickly. Instead of sticking rigidly to the script, Odenkirk improvised significant portions of his audition, bringing energy and choices that weren't on the page. He made Saul sleazier, funnier, more theatrical than written, transforming what could have been a one-note character into something far more interesting. The improvisation worked. Gilligan and the writers immediately recognized that Odenkirk had found something special, a character who could be simultaneously ridiculous and dangerous. Comic relief, who was also genuinely useful to Walter's criminal enterprise. Odenkirk got the role, appeared in what was supposed to be a few episodes, and became so popular that he eventually got his own prequel series. The actor, who almost didn't play Saul Goodman, ended up defining the character so completely that the role became inseparable from his performance. Number 6. RJ Mitte has cerebral palsy. Like his character,
Hey, bitch! Hey, no.
Hank,
You can't
no,
about your...
Hank, it's.
You killed Uncle Hank. You killed him.
Wait, son.
No.
Walter White Jr., the son whose disability and innocence provided contrast to his father's moral decay, was played by RJ Mitte, an actor who actually has cerebral palsy in real life. This casting choice brought authenticity to the role and provided representation rarely seen on mainstream television. But the relationship between Mitte's real condition and the character he played was more complex than simple representation. Walter Jr.'s cerebral palsy was significantly more severe than Mita's actual disability, requiring the actor to essentially exaggerate his own condition for the camera. Mita's real cerebral palsy is relatively mild. He walks without assistance in his daily life and doesn't require the crutches that Walter Jr. used throughout the series. To play the character accurately, Mita had to learn to use crutches convincingly, had to alter his speech patterns to sound more affected than his natural speaking voice, and had to physically portray a more severe version of the disability he actually lives with every day. This created a strange performance challenge. Mita was acting with a disability, but he was acting his own disability amplified, making conscious choices about how to move and speak while drawing on genuine understanding of the condition. The result was a portrayal that felt authentic because it was rooted in real experience while still being a constructed performance. Mite brought both lived truth and acting craft to Walter Jr., creating representation that was simultaneously genuine and deliberately heightened for dramatic purposes. Number 5. Vince Gilligan received death threats for killing characters.
Enthralled, and because I started out as a TV writer, I just got this compulsion. I want to meet the writer behind all this. I want to meet the mind.
I'm Stefan Schilt. Welcome to the In Conversation with Vince Gilligan as part of Series Mania at Acme.
Television audiences have always become attached to fictional characters, mourning when favorites die and celebrating when they survive. But Breaking Bad inspired a level of obsessive investment that crossed into genuinely threatening territory. As the show progressed and beloved characters met brutal ends, some fans couldn't separate fiction from reality. They directed their grief and rage at the person they held responsible, creator Vince Gilligan. The threats became serious enough that Gilligan required security at public appearances during the final season. The threats intensified after particularly devastating character deaths. When fan-favorite characters were killed, especially in shocking or brutal ways, some viewers responded not with disappointment, but with genuine fury directed personally at Gilligan. They sent emails promising violence, posted threats on social media, and made Gilligan's team genuinely concerned for his safety. These weren't vague complaints about storytelling choices. They were specific threats from people who blamed Gilligan for murdering characters they loved. The situation revealed a dark side of Breaking Bad's success. The show had created such vivid, compelling characters and such immersive storytelling that some viewers lost perspective entirely. They couldn't process fictional deaths as narrative choices made for thematic reasons. Instead, they experienced them as personal attacks that required retaliation. Gilligan handled the threats with grace, never publicly shaming the fans who crossed the line, but the need for security at conventions and public events demonstrated how seriously the danger was taken. Great storytelling had inspired both devotion and genuine threat. Number 4. The M60 gun scene required special federal permission. The series finale featured Walter White acquiring an M60 machine gun, a weapon he would eventually use in the show's climactic confrontation. That brief scene of Walter buying the gun from a weapons dealer and the final sequence where he uses it required months of federal paperwork and cost the production an enormous amount of money in permits and security fees. The M60 isn't a handgun or hunting rifle that can be rented casually from prop houses. It's a serious military-grade weapon classified under strict federal regulations that govern who can possess it, how it can be transported, and under what circumstances it can be fired even with blank ammunition. The production had to apply for special permits from the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives, submitting detailed plans about how the weapon would be used, stored, and secured during filming. Federal agents reviewed the scripts, examined the filming locations, and established strict protocols that had to be followed exactly, or the permits would be revoked and production shut down. Armed federal monitors were present during every scene involving the M60, watching to ensure no regulations were violated. The permit process took months longer than anticipated and cost significantly more than budgeted, eating into funds allocated for other aspects of the finale. But Gilligan insisted the M60 was essential to Walter's final plan and worth whatever bureaucratic nightmare was required to obtain it. The weapon's appearance in those final episodes represented not just a plot device, but a massive logistical achievement that required navigating complex federal weapons regulations just to film a few minutes of television. Number 3. Anna Gunn received horrific online harassment.
These papers in my face when there's a whole other entire side to this thing. There's your side.
No police. Where are you? Where's Holly?
Skylar White was hated by a significant portion of Breaking Bad's audience with an intensity that went far beyond normal character dislike. Fans who loved Walter despite his increasingly monstrous behavior directed shocking amounts of venom at his wife, the character who most consistently opposed his criminal activities and tried to protect their family. And that hatred didn't stay focused on the fictional character. It spilled over onto Anna Gunn, the actress playing Skylar, in ways that became genuinely frightening and revealed disturbing attitudes about women and morality. Gunn received death threats. She was bombarded with misogynistic attacks online, called horrific names, and told she should die for playing a character people didn't like. The hatred was so intense and so widespread that Gunn eventually wrote an op-ed for The New York Times titled "I Have a Character Issue," addressing the disturbing phenomenon. She pointed out the obvious. Skylar's crimes were minimal compared to Walter's murders, poisonings, and drug empire. Yet she received exponentially more hatred from fans who somehow sympathized with a murderous meth kingpin, while despising his wife for being angry about it. The harassment revealed uncomfortable truths about audience psychology and gender bias. Fans forgave Walter almost anything, while refusing to forgive Skylar for being human. They excused his lies while attacking her for responses to those lies. The vitriol directed at Gunn personally demonstrated how some viewers couldn't separate actress from character, and how fictional narratives can unleash real hatred when audiences project their own biases onto storytelling. Number 2. Bryan Cranston kept a bag of meth props.
I'm relaxed.
Freezes the liquid, crystallizing it, which gives us our finished methamphetamine.
Bryan Cranston wanted mementos from Breaking Bad, souvenirs to remember the role that had defined his career and transformed him from sitcom dad to dramatic powerhouse. So, he did what many actors do at the end of productions. He took some props home, specifically a bag of the blue rock candy that represented Walter White's signature product. It seemed harmless, a small bag of candy that happened to look like methamphetamine, something he could keep on a shelf as a reminder of 5 extraordinary seasons. Then he started traveling with it in his luggage, and problems began. TSA agents scanning bags at airports saw what looked exactly like a significant quantity of blue crystal meth. Alarms went off. Cranston was stopped, pulled aside, and forced to explain repeatedly that the suspicious substance was actually just rock candy, a prop from a television show, completely legal and harmless. He showed identification, explained about Breaking Bad, and eventually convinced security he wasn't actually transporting drugs through airports. But it kept happening. Different airports, different TSA agents, same problem. The blue rock candy looked too convincing, too much like the real thing it was designed to replicate. Cranston was stopped so many times that it became routine, an expected hassle whenever he traveled with his Breaking Bad souvenir. He eventually learned to pack it in checked luggage with explanatory notes, but even then, bags were occasionally flagged and searched. The prop that made Breaking Bad's meth visually iconic became Cranston's perpetual travel headache. Number 1. The series finale was the most watched cable broadcast ever Breaking Bad.
Who the hell are you?
I'm the man who's keeping it.
What the hell's this? We had an agreement, right? We got our deal, so...
35 for the pound of meth you stole, and another 15 for my partner's pain and suffering.
Built its audience slowly over 5 seasons, starting with modest viewership numbers and growing through word of mouth, critical acclaim, and streaming availability into a genuine cultural phenomenon. By the final season, the show had transcended its cable origins to become appointment television that rivaled anything on broadcast networks. But nobody fully anticipated the massive viewership the series finale would achieve, or the records it would shatter. On September 29, 2013, over 10 million viewers tuned in live to watch Felina, the Breaking Bad series finale. 10 million live viewers for a cable drama was unprecedented, a number that belonged to broadcast network finales and major sporting events, not subscription cable programs. The finale demolished previous cable viewership records and proved definitively that cable television could compete with and even surpass traditional broadcast networks in cultural impact and audience reach. The achievement was even more remarkable considering Breaking Bad's slow burn beginning. The series' premiere 5 years earlier had drawn barely over 1 million viewers, a respectable but unspectacular start. The audience grew season by season as the show's reputation spread, but the exponential leap to 10 million for the finale represented a complete transformation in how audiences consumed and valued cable programming. Breaking Bad's finale ratings demonstrated that quality storytelling could build massive audiences even outside traditional network structures, that patient character development and complex narratives could achieve commercial success alongside critical praise. The show changed television's landscape, proving cable dramas could reach network-sized audiences and breaking down barriers that had separated prestige content from mainstream popularity. Breaking Bad didn't just tell a story. It transformed television, turned a chemistry teacher into an icon, and made Blue Rock candy forever suspicious at airports. From improvised lines to federal gun permits, from death threats to record-breaking finales, the show broke rules and broke records. Because in the end, Breaking Bad proved that great television comes from risks, accidents, and one perfect pizza throw.